Dawn, June 13th, 1944. In the waters off Saipan in the Mariana Islands. Aircraft carrier USS Enterprise clears for action. Her massive flight deck is alive with revving engines as the TBF Avengers of Torpedo Squadron 10 prepare to hit enemy positions on Saipan. Their target is a Japanese flak battery on the southern tip of the island, where in just a few days, U.S. ground troops will be slogging ashore. The enemy's stronghold is covered with anti-aircraft artillery, and it's Enterprise's job to wipe them out. If the U.S. can capture Saipan, the island will offer an ideal base for U.S. Army B-29 Superfortress bombers. From here, the massive warplanes can begin strategic bombing of the home islands.
We would be able to contribute to the battle a major strategic air campaign against the Japanese home islands. And it was thought that by subjecting the Japanese home island to a protracted strategic air campaign, the likes of which we were doing to the Germans in Europe, it would accelerate the end of the war.
Target, Saipan. Objective, seize the heavily defended enemy island, crush the Japanese garrison. Strategy, carriers like Enterprise will hammer the island with warplanes. Battleships will pummel it from the sea, and U.S. Marines and soldiers will battle the enemy on land. As Allied forces push in on the Empire from all sides, the Japanese Army and Navy will be divided, faced with fighting a multi-front war. By 1944, the Axis powers are on the defensive, as the Allies prepare for massive invasions in the Pacific, in France, and in Italy.
When you consider that American forces are heavily engaged in combat in Italy, that American forces are also about to conduct the opposed amphibious landing in Normandy on June 6th. So the United States military, it's demonstrating that it is capable of engaging in broad offensive operations on opposite sides of the world simultaneously.
Saipan will be one of the most important invasions of the war, a Normandy of the Pacific, and D-Day is set for June 15th. June 15th, 1944, D-Day in the invasion of Saipan. Enterprise launches a major airstrike of SBD dive bombers, Hellcat fighters, and Avenger torpedo planes. It's part of a massive support mission as the American airmen batter the Japanese positions with round after round of bombs and bullets. 20,000 U.S. Marines wade ashore and face the Japanese defenders in hellish combat. In one single day of battle, 2,000 Americans are killed or wounded on Saipan. 2,000 men for less than a half a mile of Japanese real estate. A gruesome start to one of the biggest battles in the Pacific War. 7 p.m. Carriers, Enterprise, Lexington, and Bunker Hill cruise the waters off Saipan. As the sun begins to set on D-Day, the ships prepare for another night in the hostile Central Pacific. Suddenly, the main search radar on the Enterprise picks something up. It's an incoming air assault. 22 miles away, 7 land-based Fran torpedo bombers head right for Enterprise and carrier Lexington. Within minutes, the enemy planes will be within striking distance. 10 miles ahead of the Frans, spotters on Enterprise can now clearly see the incoming assault. Seconds later, the guns of the task force roar into action. 5-inch 38 caliber rifles from Enterprise and Lexington thump out a volley of explosive projectiles. 40mm and 20mm anti-aircraft guns spray red-hot streams of fire into the air. Wave after wave of enemy planes are wiped out by the fighter planes of Enterprise and the other carriers. The killing goes on for hours. The Japanese air attack is a complete failure. Nearly 400 enemy aircraft are blown out of the sky by American Hellcats and the guns of USS Enterprise and the U.S. fleet. It's one of the greatest victories for the American Navy and a horrific defeat for the Japanese. The poorly trained enemy flyers are no match for the Big E. A young American pilot will later compare it to an old-fashioned turkey shoot. The name sticks.
I forget how many, we downed nearly all of them in the pilots came back laughing that it was just a turkey shoot. If I'm not mistaken, the Enterprise was credited with downing around 70 of all those planes that day.
The Great Marianas Turkey Shoot completely devastates Japan's naval air forces.
Our fighters just completely annihilated them. The biggest real air battle of the war. It was a tremendous day for aircraft carrier aviation.